All right, I'd like to call this special city council meeting to order. It is January 12th, 2026 at, 7:45. Clerk Ballister, would you call the roll?
Kuda.
Here.
Cohen.
Here.
DeWitt Foy.
Here.
Bosch.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Cobb.
Here. All right, now that we know we're all here and there's nobody to excuse, are there any amendments to the agenda? Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add essentially 4 resolutions. The first being number 4, 2026, for first reading only. It is for an agreement with a company to put new seating in the community center. 2026 for adoption. First reading for adoption tonight. To reappoint the Director of Public Works. 6/2026, again for first reading for adoption. The Director of Planning and Development, and 7/2026 to confirm the Law Director.
All right, that's been motioned. Is there a second? All right, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. I'd also like to look favorably on a motion to amend the agenda to add new business. Would anybody want?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes as well. Clerk Ballister, would you read the first piece of legislation?
I have resolution number 002-2026 on first reading. A resolution authorizing an agreement with Ken Ganley Ford Inc., DBA KG Norton LLC for the purchase of 5 2026 Ford Utility Hybrid Police Interceptors for the Cleveland Heights Police Department and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
We have a so moved. There we go.
Second.
Any discussion? We did discuss this in committee of the whole. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Next, I have resolution number 003-2026 on first reading. A resolution authorizing an agreement with KG Norton LLC, DBA Ganley Ford Inc. for the purchase of 2 2026 Ford Utility Hybrid Interceptors for the Cleveland Heights Fire Department and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. First reading only.
Nope, we got more on first reading for adoption. We added.
You're right.
I have resolution number 005-2026 on first reading. A resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Colette Klingscale as Director of Public Works for the city of Cleveland Heights and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Next, I have resolution number 006-2026 on first reading, a resolution confirming the mayor's reappointment of Eric Zanft as Director of Planning and Development for the city of Cleveland Heights and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
And I have resolution number 007-2026 on first reading, a resolution confirming the mayor's reappointment of William R. Hanna as Director of Law for the city of Cleveland Heights and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I know we talked about this in the committee of the whole, but we should probably let the public know that we're not just rushing through these, that because of the change in the charter, it's necessary for City Council now to confirm any continuing appointments in these positions that the mayor wants to make. And we all know all of the individuals that he's asked for us to confirm the appointment for, and I don't think there was any necessity to have any hearings on them.
Appreciate that. And I'll just say, Director Hanna, welcome back.
Well,
Right.
not yet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes, and now you're welcome. All right. And then Clerk Ballister, we have one more reading. This is first reading only.
Correct. I have resolution number 004-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Farnham Equipment Company through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program for the provision, installation of, and related construction services for the improvement of new seating for the community center's main gymnasium, and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petras.
So again, I would ask all the council members to take a look at this legislation. The director could not be here tonight and will not be here on the 20th. So any questions you might have on this legislation, you want to send them in an email this week. And now we're at new business. I see a hand up there. That would be
mine.
that would be Councilman Posh.
I would like to either have a quick discussion about this, or when you think it's appropriate, that our leadership team, both president and vice president, can consider scheduling some kind of retreat for council. So we can have just an opportunity just to sort of talk through some things that are important to us. We have some council members here. We received an email over the weekend from Councilwoman Cohn about some things that were important to her. I mean, we really can't respond to that in email, but it's good to sort of hear it. But, you know, I'd love to be able to have conversations like that. I mean, not spend a lot of time. This is similar to what we tried to do last year, where we were going to have sort of like this expectations meeting that got in the paper and was everyone's best intention to do it until the wheels fell off of everything that we're doing, and the disruption amongst some members of the administration, the former mayor, some internal strife. We just weren't able to get it done.
Yeah.
And it would be really helpful, I think, if we were all sort of, maybe not on the same page, but we sort of had sort of a vision. You know, this is what our vision is. This is what we want to do.
Both collective and individual.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But the issue here is there's a lot of repair that's going on right now. And I don't want to try to really try to advocate for this at a point where there's some healing going on and there's a tremendous amount of work getting this new administration up to speed, and the need that we need to make a council appointment. So I guess what I do is I ask our leadership team to consider this and what your priorities are. And whatever you guys decide, obviously, is going to be fine. I mean, you have a bigger vision. You work with the administration closer than we do. But I'm hopeful we can actually have a good sit down, a retreat, work through some things. I don't necessarily think we necessarily need a moderator. I just think to something similar to what you did on one of our first meetings of the year, I think on the 5th, possibly, I don't have the date in front of me, where we talked about legislative agenda and where we're going. I mean, just dig into that a little deeper.
Yeah, and so you're picturing what like the Caribbean or something? Nothing like that.
I think at our salary, that's not going to happen.
No, I think that's really appropriate, and it will help the newness of this and the new, the turning the page and so forth. And I think I'd like to hear from everybody.
Yeah, fully support. That'd be great.
I'm in support, and I'm wondering if we can work in any training pieces possibly that we need to have.
Good idea.
And talk about that just for a little bit. What kind of training are you talking about?
Open Meetings Act,
Open Meetings Act,
Sunshine Laws.
Sunshine Laws. Okay, very good.
I think it's a fantastic idea. The only question I raise is whether we should wait until the 7th person is appointed so as to avoid someone feeling like they're coming in behind.
I'm in favor of it. I agree. We should wait until we've appointed someone to have it. But we should try and get something on the calendars right now.
So we'd be looking at March, I guess, if we wanted to do it sooner than later. And do you have a venue type in mind? I think it'd be nice to be just to figure out where we could do this, where it would be a good atmosphere.
So in the past, the school district, and I don't know if we can go outside of city bounds. I don't know if the charter, we have to be in the city. I was going to suggest Tri-C, the corporate college, but unless we annex that, not going to work for us.
According to the charter, we cannot do that without, or no, there's an ordinance. It's not in the charter. There's an ordinance. I'm asking the law director, although I'm not putting it in the form of a question. This would have to be a recorded meeting. Like, yeah, go ahead.
There was previously an ordinance, Mr. President, that allowed council to conduct a retreat in executive session, but that was repealed several years ago. So I think you would be looking at a council meeting that might be somewhat more along the lines of some of the meetings that were held probably in the first year of your first term,
Yes.
if I have the timetable right. Which were in those cases on like Saturday morning, I believe, or the first half of the day on Saturday, something like that.
Now,
That won't work for this council.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would suggest maybe looking at the community center. They've got some space there, and either schedule it for a Friday or a Sunday.
Yeah. Probably a Sunday. Because we want enough time. I will tell you that I've attended 2 of those. I want to say, did we do 2 or 3? 3. And you really need multiple hours. I mean, not 2 or 3, more like 5 or 6 to get deep. So I'd be open to that. And so is there any time in March? Does anybody know now a bad time in March for them? So as we're looking at a week or a date? Yes.
More towards the beginning and middle, because the end of March will be Passover, beginning of Passover.
So beginning and middle
Yeah.
is good. Okay.
Same.
Yeah, same.
Why don't we have Addie do one of your classic?
And I was going to say, for me as well, even though I'm not necessarily required to be there, end of March does not work for me, so.
Okay, well, that's.
I'll put some in the
you know,
first.
I only wanted to eliminate a block.
Yep.
This way, when you send out a doodle poll. All right, yes.
Can we ask the required training? We had, I think, Thompson Hine at one point and Squires do training for the school board. And they came in with a packaged presentation. It was about an hour and a half, checked all the boxes. I mean, we live this. I think all of us have lived it for me over multiple decades now, I suppose. But I think it's good to have the refresher. And I think it's good that the public sees us actually doing it. And they could learn from it. But bring on someone that has like a prepackaged presentation that can just do it. And there's got to be people out there, and I'm looking at our law director, thinking if there's someone, I mean, it wouldn't make sense for you and your staff to develop a presentation.
There are certainly firms that can do that. My firm does that for different organizations. The Ohio Municipal League has a seminar in March that is most of the day, if not the full day. And the requirement for the new members of council, folks who haven't been previously on council, is for 8 hours of training. And so there's the general idea of receiving training that'll be helpful to council in complying with all of the rules and regulations that apply to council. And then there's the new charter imposed training requirement, which is a little bit different. And that's a perspective from which I think that OML training might be useful to folks. I can send out that information if you haven't seen it yet.
For the OML, I sent it to you guys. So if you are interested, let me know. I've already signed up a few of you guys.
Anything else? So the next steps will be that leadership will discuss this, and Addie will send out dates, and we'll look at training and putting together an agenda. All right? Any other new business? All right, in that case, this meeting is adjourned at 8 o'clock.